You arrive at the Computer History Museum. You know that the number one priority of this revolutionary exhibit's a lot of things that I worked on as a volunteer before that were put on hold for revolutionaries. But now your fundraising feet are put to the fire by this financial crisis. How are you able to convince major donors to contribute now that maybe they were down 30 or 40% of their net asset value to fund that exhibit and make it happen in such a successful way?
You know, as I said earlier, the museum's extremely fortunate to have a very loyal base of people who fortunately have the capacity to support the museum in good times, and as we found out in 2008, in bad times as well. And they believe in what we're trying to do, and they believed it then. And I think once they saw the plan, which has turned out to be a pretty compelling exhibit, that they were convinced that it was a good thing to do. You know, we had Charles Simoni, who'd gone to space with the Russians twice and is a big supporter of the museum, gave $1 million. Max Palevsky,
Wow.
who founded Scientific Data Systems and sold that to Xerox and then became one of the founding directors of Intel, gave us $1 million. Intel itself pledged $5 million. And a number of other people pitched in, and that's how we got to $8.3 million. The gift I will always remember, though, and I've told this story, and I know he doesn't mind us telling it publicly, was the very first one that we got, because the board voted in October of 2008 to build this exhibit, and then we didn't raise a dime. And it got to be February of 2009, and we were about 4 months into this.
Wow.
And Len and I had a meeting with Yogan Dalal, who is a very noted figure in Silicon Valley, and we met with him and we were asking him about what he could do, and he was really committed to this, and we had asked him for a significant sum of money, and he said, you know, I really support the museum and I love what you're doing, and I believe in what you're doing, but the thing is, nobody knows where the bottom is yet, and the best I can do right now is $100,000. Would you be satisfied with $100,000? Well, that, you know the movie It's a Wonderful Life, where everybody's trying to on the run on the savings and loan, and the woman steps up and George Bailey says, you know, do you have to take all your money out? And she says, you know, can I have $2 or something like that? And he reaches over and kisses her, you know, because she's willing to leave all of her money in, but $2 that she really needs. That's how I felt about Yogan Dalal. I was ready to kiss him when he said, yeah, we'll give $100,000, because that was the first gift, and I just felt like after that,
Did that get the ball rolling?
we were on our way, and it turned out to be true.
Right. So now you get all this money. It's one thing to have money, but it's another to create this wonderful world-class exhibit where there are curators, where there are volunteers, where there are other employees that arrange this beautifully artistic revolutionaries exhibit. How did that go down?
You mean how
The
did
process
they,
of
how did they do it?
actually making the exhibit once you have the funds.
Well, we had a couple of people who were really the secret weapon. One is Kirsten Tashev, who designs all of our exhibits, and she's just brilliant. And every photograph, every word, every piece of design, all of that passed across Kirsten's desk. And working with a great designer named Dennis Van Sickle in New Jersey, they really were the masterminds of this. But the second great secret weapon we had was the best chief curator that any exhibit has ever had, and his name is Len Shustek. Because Len read every word, he edited
That's
a
what I was
tremendous
hoping you'd
amount.
say. That's what I was hoping you'd say.
He helped us script films. He was instrumental in putting the original exhibit plan together. And I think if we hadn't had Len, there's no way that the exhibit would have resulted in the level of quality and completeness that we have now.
I'm really glad that you gave Mr. Modesty that credit. Let's turn the mic over to him and have him comment on his role in creating that exhibit, and also, before that, getting other exhibits up and running.
Well,
You and not only yourself, but also your colleagues and friends. One of is my classmate, Ike Nassi, you might want to mention.
yeah, Ike's been on the board since the Boston days, forever. He's still on the board. First of all, I enjoyed working on the exhibit like you can't believe, because that is so much more fun than attending audit committee meetings and finance committee meetings and investment committee meetings and all of the other stuff that a chairman of the board has to do. So for me, that was the candy, that was the dessert that I have to suffer through all the other stuff for. But John mentioned Kirsten Tashev. She's a genius. I mean, she was the one who really drove the exhibit. And maybe I was the curator working on the exhibit, but I was working for Kirsten. She was the one that was making it all happen. And to the extent that it's beautiful, it's because Kirsten knows how to create something beautiful and appealing. And she's done every exhibit we've ever done, starting with visible storage in Shoreline. And we've got a new exhibit now dedicated to software, and it's ready to go. We have to fundraise for it. We're a strange organization that we don't build things we don't have the money for. That was true of Revolution, and it's true of this terrific software exhibit that we are chomping at the bit to build, but we still have a little more fundraising to do.